Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and my name remains Comfort Oladayo Adegbero. And if you've been getting value from this channel, don't forget to subscribe. Like the videos, so that YouTube can also help send this video and recommend to people who might find it useful, and also share within your circle of friends. And if you have an enemy, do share. So today I'll be talking about things you need to take note of when you're traveling, like if you want to come school abroad. So this period is like a season where so many persons have gained admission, gotten awarded with scholarships, and they are making preparation to move from one country down to either Europe, the US, Canada, or any country that you have, getting admission and you have gotten a visa for. So there are some things you need to take note of. So you learn from our own experience, not my experience, and maybe some other persons I have communicated with before on this topic. So if you think you would like to find more information about the things you should pack before traveling out of the country, do stay tuned and watch till the end. So welcome back, and I'll be talking maybe a little bit from the Nigerian perspective, because I want to believe that a lot of persons that would watch this could be Nigerians, but it also applies to others coming from African countries. Just take the one that relates with you, that is relatable. So the first thing I'll be mentioning is food. If you are leaving the country, you need to pack maybe local foods that you find useful. The next point I'll talk about is clothes, but let me just chip it in now that you would need to take more food stuff than clothes, except maybe the clothes you have are those that will really be useful for the cold weather, especially when most students might be coming in when it's the winter period. Just like when I came was around October when I first went to the UK, and even when I got to Italy it was also November. So around that period you would need clothes that would keep you warm. But I would say that if you are leaving the country, you need to prioritize food stuff. There are some things that you might not easily find, and not like you might not find them per se, but it might take a while for you to get used to the environment before you can locate an African store. For example, where my campus was when I was studying in the UK was somewhere called Shrewsbury, and I don't think there's an African store. So the closest African store to me was in Wolverhampton, and I think another was in Telford. Telford is 20 minutes away from Shrewsbury, while Wolverhampton was 30, depending on the train. It could be as long as 15 minutes away, and this even took a while. It wasn't immediately we arrived, myself and my colleagues, that were able to find this spot. So maybe there was usually this open market. It's not African, so maybe you could have some Asians where you could get okra, but I survived mostly on the things I brought from Nigeria, and when I was able to find the African store. I remember the first time we were able to really get African things, we had to order online. I think there's a shop or an online store called Sammy's Online. A fellow Nigerian from church introduced myself and my colleagues then to this store. You pay or you book a day before a certain time, then you get it delivered the next day. But it was quite expensive, considering the delivery fee and everything, but we had to buy in bulk together so we could split the expenses. So I would say that before you leave Nigeria, there's some things that are important if you are someone that likes food like me. So you should take things like egusi, maybe it's some brands of food that you think you might not easily find. So maybe something to at least last you for 3 weeks and a month before you gain your food and find your bearing around. So if you think you need to take, you don't need to take things like spaghetti, because you can easily get spaghetti and rice in any normal mall, Asda, Tesco. I'm talking about the UK stores now, and you can easily get things like spag, rice, and maybe tomato paste. So you might not need to bring this, and vegetable oil. But local things like crayfish, local things like egusi, all those dry things that you can pack. Pepper. How would I forget pepper? Okay, I'm a Yoruba girl. So you need to take things like that, and at least those will last you for a while before you can find like other Nigerian communities and people that can tell you where you can buy stuff that you would need. One of the things I was scared about, or maybe not scared, I was maybe a little bit worried about when I was moving from Nigeria. I was like, would I be able to eat swallow? Would I be able to eat swallow? Would I be able to get things like pounded yam, amala, okra, and mixed stew? Would I see rodo, that scotch bonnet? But all these things are actually available, but you have to just make your research. But pending the time, you need to have things like dry pepper, because that was what I used before I was able to get fresh tomatoes. And you would get fresh tomatoes in the normal store, but you might not easily find scotch bonnet. Even if you would, you have to really search well in the normal stores. Yeah, so I had to use tomato paste and dry pepper to start cooking first before I was able to get the normal stuff. So food is number one priority, and number one thing you need to take note of. Yeah, the second thing I'll talk about is cash. Yeah, you need to have cash in the currency of the country that you'll be visiting. So for example, if you're going to the UK, at least have some little amounts in pounds. If you're coming to Europe, in euros. If you're going to the US, in dollars. Or if not, if you have a card that is working. And I really don't know if most of the Nigerians could have, because I know when I was living in Nigeria, I don't think my Nigerian cards would work. And aside from that, you consider the exchange rates and all of that. It could be a bit expensive. So having the cash could actually help you, so you wouldn't even have to worry about card issues. I remember when I first got to I landed in Manchester, but I stayed in Chester for the quarantine during my period, and I needed a taxi to get me down from Chester to Shrewsbury, and I had to pay a lot of money then, but praise God I had cash then, so it wasn't a problem. So you have to look for a way to go with cash. Number one is food. I think I spent so much time talking about that. Number two is cash, or at least enough money in your enough money with a card that is working, a working card. You have to take note of that. And number three thing you should consider are clothes. Like I said, you shouldn't. Some of the clothes I actually brought from Nigeria, I had to drop some of them, and some I have not even worn them, and some I wore them just once or maybe just twice. Some clothes might end up not being useful and would only be useful for layering when you come. You would have to layer up, especially if it's cold. So you might have to wear the normal light clothes you wear in Africa, the t-shirts and all of that. You might have to wear 2 or 3 or 4 on that before you wear your sweatshirt and before you wear your jacket, just to keep yourself warm. So they might really come in handy, but you might not really be able to show your designers and all of that in winter, because for Christ's sake it's winter, except in summer. But even all the clothes you'll be having, most likely you can't wear all of them during summer. So another thing I would like to talk about in this aspect of clothes is towels. Definitely you should bring your towels, because the hostel you'll be staying at, the apartment, they most likely will not provide you with towel, except it's a hotel that you'll be staying, pending when you get yourself an accommodation. So you have to bring your towels, you have to bring your flip-flop, that's the slippers, and something that you can wear inside the room that you feel comfortable, because it's going to be a new place, and except maybe you have a friend who is already there that could take you around and help you sort things out. But if you don't have anybody, it's just advisable to pack some of these things. Your bedspread, you don't have to buy the big duvet, but just something that you could lay on the bed, and something you could just use to cover it. Even if it's your mother's wrapper, just take it. Just take it. It's going to be very, very useful, honestly. So number 4 thing you should take note of when you are about traveling, coming down to another country. When you're about traveling and coming down to another country, you have to buy your books. Not like you have to buy all the books or something. You should have an idea of the number of courses, and that's why you're a student without the useful tools. How exactly are you going to prove that you're a student? You don't necessarily have to buy everything just like a book that could sustain you for a while. You should, or even if it's just 2 or 3, at least buy a new book that you could use for your courses, so you won't want to start your courses and starts running helter skelter looking for how to get the book, blah blah blah. None of that. Your virus, your, maybe you need pencil. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like very much or something. 1 or 2 is enough, and maybe a flash drive in case you might want to print, although it's not like something that is pressing. I never had a flash drive until I got to the UK and I bought that like myself, but I knew I bought at least some books and I had like pens that I could make use of. So the next thing you should take note of is the sockets or the plug, whatever the name. I feel like I'm talking too fast, but I really want to say lots of things within like a short time. Yeah, so you need to know the plug. For example, if you're going from Nigeria to UK, you don't have to worry because the plug type and the sockets are like literally the same. But if you're moving to Europe, it's different. I didn't think of that when I was traveling down to Italy from UK. So praise God, the charger for my phone was like it had just like 2 mouths, and I could use that because that's the kind of sockets we have here in Europe. So just take note, if it's something you can get over there, fine. In wherever country you are, you should, because sometimes it could be hard to get like the plug or the extension box for a different kind of socket other than what is being used in the country you're currently residing in. And another option is you could maybe order from Amazon before you leave, or just any of the online stores, and you get it delivered to you, so that at least when you get to wherever you're going to, you can easily charge your laptops, you can easily charge your phones and gadgets, and be able to reach out to your family and important people that you need to reach out to whenever you land and whenever you like arrive and settle in. So the next thing you should consider when you are packing your bag, your toiletries and anything body care, all of that. So for ladies, you should have your pads, because you won't want to get to somewhere new where you're not really familiar with and start looking for where to get some of those things. Your tissue, and definitely you should have your toothbrush, because even if you say you land today and you need to like freshen up that same night, how do you want to do that if it's like your accommodation hostel? If it's a hotel, it's maybe different because you might have some of these things readily available. But if it's like the accommodation that you signed the contract for, you most likely won't have a toothpaste or a toothbrush or maybe body wash or body cream, all of those things. So they are very, very important for you. So body care things, your roll-on, your deodorants, blah, 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 all of those necessary things are things you should pack and let them be like easily accessible when you arrive. Yes, another important thing you need to pack: medications, prescriptions, drugs, all of those things. So the first thing or let me say the most important thing is if you have medications for like if you're treating a particular sickness, so you should have those readily available. You should have like enough supply that will last you for a while till you gain ground and find your footing and know your place around. And aside from that, basic over the counter drugs like paracetamol, maybe flu drugs, especially when you're coming from Africa, malaria, all those fever pills, blah blah blah, for headache, like things that you can easily use. So you should have them available, so that when just some of these things that you could actually get in even normal malls, like aspirin, Panadol, all of those things. But before you go to the malls, you should have these things with you, so that even when you are shivering, nobody is there to help you. Because most times when you are outside of the country, you might not even have like maybe lots of friends initially before you like socialize and meet people. How do you take care of yourself? How do you adjust? How do you adapt to the new environment? So having some of these medications are very, 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 very important. Vitamin C, maybe minerals, calcium. Even though you can't buy everything, some of these are like even just a little quantity. Deworming drugs too sometimes will come in handy, so take notes. Yeah, another thing I would mention, this might not be useful for everybody, but your glasses, yeah, you could have a backup one. I know when I was living in Nigeria, though I had the glasses I was using, I had to like get another one. The thing is, some of these things are very expensive over here, like when you are in Nigeria. So you could probably get glasses for like 20k or maybe even less than that, your recommended glasses. But when you are outside of the country, you most likely be spending more than £100, €100, depending. So you probably don't want to spend the amount of money, especially when you are a self-sponsored student and you're not on scholarship. Even if you're on scholarship, you definitely want to like maybe save and fend for yourself. So, and some of these things could have been gotten at a cheaper price before coming down to like Europe or wherever you'll be. So just in case you're someone that uses glasses or maybe contacts, just try to get an extra one before you travel. And another thing you might want to take note of is having a bottle, a water bottle. It's important because for me, when I first got to when I was in the UK, I didn't buy bottled water or maybe packaged water. I was taking water from the tap because they said it was good enough for drinking. So I can't remember if I brought a bottle along from Nigeria or if I had it or if I bought it in the UK. But either ways, you would need the bottle to even help you conserve money, and it's healthy to take water all the time, so, and in case the tap water is not good enough, some hostels or accommodation might have like this water dispenser. For example, the school hostels here in Italy, they have the vending machine and the coffee stuff where you can get coffee. So by the side of the coffee machines are usually like water dispenser, so you can take clean water there. So if you have like your bottle, you are good to go. You don't have to spend a lot of money buying bottled water all the time. But if it's an apartment and if the water is not good for drinking, then that's perfectly fine. I'm sure water is not going to be too expensive. Some of these things are actually affordable based on the standard of living over there, so you won't have to spend like lots of money finding water to drink. The next point, this is for like the ladies generally, your wigs. So if you are coming, please, except maybe you know how to make your hair yourself, then you are safe. Even if you know how to make your hair yourself, at least you could bring things like maybe this dreadlock, or is it crochet, weave-on, or attachment, all of those things. You can still bring them, your relaxer, your hair creams, and all of that, to at least sustain you for a while. You can't be making your hair all the time, except maybe like you are very rich. We are all rich in the name of Jesus, but really you want to save and you don't want to like spend all the time. So if you have wigs, even if it's like 2 or 3 weeks, you can bring when you are coming. If you have the means to buy them, they are definitely cheaper in Nigeria than you ordering online when you get here, and at least you trust what you are bringing from your own country than what you can see online. So if you can get like your wigs, just bring them, because they are going to like save you. They will save you. Oh god. So bring your wigs and bring your bags too. Not like lots of bag, but I would say like a school bag is very much okay initially, and maybe like few handbags in case you want to go to church. If you're someone that you're not like shouty or maybe a fashionista like me, then you're just good to go with 2 or 3 bags, then your school bag. Simple. The school bag will even help you when you are traveling, like something you can carry on the plane, and when you are going to classes, put your laptop, because you can't be carrying one tiny bag and you go to class except you're not going to study. So that's very important. Bring a bag. One more thing I would talk about is umbrella is actually not very important, but you could just have it. At least it will save you some bucks before you like. It will save you some bucks and you don't have to like spend. I didn't carry an umbrella when I was coming down. I got one, but if it's something portable and it's not going to be heavy, it could even be in your school bag, the one you would carry that you would carry on the plane. So, but you shouldn't disturb yourself, because it could be just excess or extra load when you're coming. So it's probably might not be that relevant. And I would say that any other thing that you consider very useful to you, even if it's Not even, you should take your pictures. Yeah, how would I forget that? You should take your pictures and pictures of your family, even if it's not everything. If you have a photo frame or a photo book, all of those things, something that you know, memories to fall back to, because you would miss home. You would miss home, so at least you should have like photos that you can always like check from time to time. And yeah, any other thing that you think is dear to you, you can include that in the list. And now, just like as a tip, I will mention some things that you can consider you should pack and have handy when you are traveling on that day. Things you should have with you on the plane, not inside the check-in luggage. Things that you have in your school bag on the plane, or even if it's, I don't know what kind of bag you want to carry. The first thing, your documents, your passports, everything about your school, because when you are at the zip border point or immigration, blah blah blah, they will ask you questions, your flight tickets, if you need to have some certain tests or immunization, depending on which country you are traveling to. You have to have all of those. It's just even important. It's just a normal thing you should carry. Your passports, your school certificates, anything that they can ask you. If you're not sure, just pack everything. Every document you need to have them like really handy. Another thing I'll talk about is your laptops and your phones. Yeah, I would also say it's important to take a laptop and phone, because you're coming to school, and in this place you cannot just use your phone, except okay, maybe you will be going to the school, like most of the universities have like computer labs where you can just use the systems for free, but it could really be stressful sometimes. So having your own personal computer is important. So when you're coming in your carry-on bag, you should have your laptop and your phone, because that's the only way they can be safe. And the chargers, you need to have the chargers readily accessible, so that in case maybe you're having like a stopover and you have to wait for long hours, how do you charge your phone? How do you communicate with your family before your next flight? So have those things readily available. And your medications, in case you are maybe like an asthma patient, or if you have any sickness or the, so have all those things. You know what exactly is wrong with you, and you know what medication you are currently on and you are taking. So have all of those things readily accessible inside your carry-on bag. Another thing you should consider is a jacket. So if you are coming at a period, which I think most students will be arriving around the period close to winter, even if it's not fully winter, but at least autumn, and you know where you're coming from is most likely hot, except maybe you're just moving from one European country to another European country, maybe moving from Canada to the US. You really might not experience this. Maybe you're coming from Africa, you definitely would need a jacket. So if you can afford one, get a jacket. I remember when I was landing in the UK in October, that was towards the end of October, I landed in Manchester. I was just wearing one hoodie like that is not even thick enough. I was so cold, I was shivering, and all of that. Even if the temperature, maybe it's not all that cold for them, it could be cold for you, it could be cold for us, because it's a change, like a drastic change. You experiencing something that is as low as 12 degree where you are landing that you have never been to, and you coming from somewhere that is as high as maybe like 30, or maybe not up to 30 sometimes, or even more than 30 depending on the area you're coming from. So it's kind of different, so you need to keep yourself warm. So if you have a jacket, a winter jacket, just hold it on your hand, and when you land you can put it on to protect yourself from the cold. And the last thing I will mention in this part, I'm sure there might be other useful things that has skipped my mind, but the last thing I will mention in this part is internet connection. I don't you will need it to at least place calls. If you need to maybe order a taxi, or you might be able to access Wi-Fi at the airport, when you land and all of that. But when you are out of the airport, before you get to your apartment, how would you adjust? It might not really be hard. Okay, how did I cope when I came? Okay, I think I had to borrow a phone from one of the attendants. So this is like a tip also. At the airport, you could borrow a phone, you could speak to them at the information desk, just tell them your problem. Especially, it would be a good one if you are coming to an English speaking country. But if it is a country whereby you don't understand what they are saying. It might really be hard. You might feel really lost if you don't have internet connection. So I would advise that you maybe subscribe to the roaming plan before you land to the country. So if you are coming from Nigeria to Italy directly, where most of the people might not even know how to speak English, the first person you meet might be saying something you don't understand. How do you communicate? It's going to be a problem. You know, when I was leaving the UK to Italy, it was a bit okay because my network or my line in UK was able to like roam directly, and I could still make use of my subscription, my internet subscription in Italy, because maybe it's still within the Europe, blah blah blah, and all of that. So maybe you could try the roaming subscription before you leave. That's kind of advisable, and I don't know if this is going to work for those in Nigeria, but we have some apps that allow you to make like international calls and all of that. You just have to download. I think there's Reptel, there's Yola, and all of that. So you could probably check before you leave if you could like make some subscriptions and load them, so that by the time you get here, it can be easy rather to make some local calls to maybe anybody you need to contact, or even if it's like the taxi driver, and all of those things. So that's like the last thing I think I want to mention in this video. So if you think that there are other things that are very useful, you could drop them in the comment section. I'm sure other persons will be checking and would find them useful. And yet again, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, share, and tell everybody about this video. And if you found it helpful, do well to let me know. I definitely want to hear from you. Till then, till we meet, stay comforted. Ciao.